What do business analysts do? And why do they make so much money? If you would like to work remotely, helping businesses improve processes while making over $100,000 a year doing it, you should consider becoming an IT business analyst. Specifically, if you enjoy documentation, research, problem solving, and collaboration, this might just be the opportunity you've been looking for. If you're unhappy with your current role, your income, or you're bored of the repetitive routine, you don't have to stay there. There are over 10,000 BA jobs in the US and Canada open right now. And in this video, I'm going to break down what BAs actually do day to day, why they make so much money, and how to land a BA role. The tech space is booming right now, and you can land a high-paying remote six-figure tech role, even if you have no technical skills or coding knowledge. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mo. I've worked in tech for over 12 years as an IT project manager and business analyst, working with large corporations like Microsoft and governments like the city of Toronto. At the age of 25, I became a vice president in a $100 million company. At 29, I became a VP in a $100 billion company. Now I'm founder and CEO here at SkillHat, where we train people in tech skills and help them get into tech jobs. Okay, so today we're gonna learn, number one, who is a business analyst? What exactly is a BA? 2, what they do day to day. And 3, steps to land a six-figure BA role, even if you have no tech background. That's the first thing. A BA is a bridge between the business team and the technical team. So in organizations, often you have the business group. You have the executives, the sales team, the VP, the operations manager, etc. What the business team means is that they own the client. They understand the customer. They sell to the customer. They ensure the customer's needs are met. Now you have the technical team who builds technology. These are usually developers, architects, designers, quality assurance analysts, etc. So what the BA does is that they act as a bridge between these two people. Why? Well, because they don't often speak the same language. Business speak is more revenue, customer churn, lifetime value of a customer, profit, EBITDA, margins, etc. Technical speak is more about code, security, scalability, right? User experience, workflows, etc. So oftentimes they don't speak the same language, but they have to work together. Here's an example of how a BA comes into play. Let's say we're working at a company as an insurance company. Now, typically when you have to buy insurance, you got to call the insurance company and say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. My name is Sean, for example. I drive a 2024 Tesla and I want insurance. Talk to an insurance person, they put your name in the system, they give you a quote. Now, let's say the business owner says, hey, we have so much demand, our customers are on the phone for hours. What I want is a system, an app, where someone could just go on the app and put in their information, and the app will give them the insurance pricing versus having to call someone to do that. Now, a BA will help bridge between what the business person needs and the technical team who builds that solution. So a BA will understand the requirements of the business person and the business in itself. What are the features we want from this product? How is it going to help our business needs? What should it look like? What are the functional requirements, the non-functional requirements of this solution? Through interviews, document all that, and then hand it off to a technical team member who says, okay, I get it. Here's exactly what needs to get built. Now, imagine the BA did not do that, and you were a developer, or a developer shows up to work to build it. They're not going to have all the requirements documented and clear. So BA understands the requirements, documents that, hands it off to a technical team member. They build it. BA takes that and say, okay, great, you've built this product. I'm going to hand it back to the business stakeholder, review it with them, and ensure it meets their needs. And that's how a BA acts as a bridge between a technical team member and a non-technical team member. So what does day-to-day look like as a BA when you are bridging the gap between the business team and technical team? Well, you do things like creating a business case. So what is a business case? What is a business case? A business case is a document that justifies making an investment into a product or into a system or into any kind of change, any kind of project. So before any kind of change is made in the company, they have to analyze and say, if we invest $1 million in this thing, how much are we getting back? When are we getting it back? What are the chances we don't get it back? How should we solve this existing problem that we have, right? So a business case is one thing a BA helps to create, okay? The second is coming up with a business strategy. What are the strategies to solve these problems? Strategy is about being able to take limited resources and unlimited opportunities and figure out how do we get the maximum return on our resources? How do we compete strategically, for example? The third is that a BA performs financial and data analysis. So you're performing analysis on the market to understand how big can this market be. You're doing some financial analysis, especially when it comes to creating a business case to say, If we invest $1 million here, what's our payback period? How long do we get paid back? What's our break-even point? When do we break even? What is our return on investment? What is our benefit cost ratio? So we perform a lot of financial analysis and data analysis. We analyze data on customer behavior, on market behavior, and use that to help drive decision making. Next thing a BA does is to model business processes. And what that means is that we visualize the business process so we can improve that process. Every company has processes. In fact, you can almost say a company is literally a breakdown of their processes. And that's what forms a company. And so a BA helps to visualize and document the process that is broken so we can figure out how do we improve that process. How do we take a process that takes 7 steps and 3 people to 4 steps and 2 people, and then automate the other parts with technology.
The next thing a BA does is we design prototypes in wireframes. So what is a prototype or wireframe? A wireframe is a skeleton, a sketch of how an app will look or how a product will look before we actually build it. When it comes to the world of software development and technology, your favorite app that you use, Instagram, Snapchat, Slack, was sketched out on simple pen and paper before we actually went and coded it, right? And designed the UI. And so as BAs, when we get the requirements from our stakeholders, we sketch out how the app might look and feel and how the process might work within the app, the experience. And then we hand it off to what's called the UI UX designer, who will design how it actually looks finally. Show that to the client. The client says, okay, great, this is exactly what I want. We change this, change that. We get the design updated, then we hand off to a developer who will build a product. And so what we do as the BA, again, is what's called prototyping and wireframing. The next thing we do as BAs is what's called solution testing. So we do some quality assurance as well. So whenever we hand off a product to a developer to build it for us, we will test it ourselves and say, yes, this meets the needs of the client. And then the last thing I want to mention is called user training. So when you roll out a new product, say you roll out a new way of a customer service team to track your calls or analyze your calls or take calls, or you change the system in a company in the insurance, like I said before, and you change the process through which the insurance sales team communicate with your clients and the app that they use, you have to train them as a BA to ensure they can use the new system and the new process. That might involve doing webinars, live training, one-to-one, group training. So we drive change through training, and also we monitor change adoption. So when we roll out a change, you have to monitor and say, are the employees, are the people in the company using this new thing, are they being compliant with the change? And those are the things that we do in the day-to-day life of a business analyst. Next section. Why is this a good career? Why should you care about this? Well, because one, you can drive massive business, right? As a BA, you can go from facing individual clients to building out a process that serves thousands or millions of clients, which is very impactful. So the value of your work can be received at scale, right? The second thing is you earn a high income. So the average income for a BA role is about $87,000, but that is actually, many BAs earn a lot more than that, right? So there's BAs who make over $140,000 a year in a full-time job with bonuses. And there's something called contract work, right? Which I'll talk about a little bit later. The third part is that almost anyone can become a BA. Almost anyone can become a BA. I've seen people become BAs from being nurses, customer service reps, accountants, healthcare workers, salespeople. Almost anyone can become a BA as long as you have that logical thinking, right? 4 is you get to work remotely. You can work from home. 5 is there's a massive demand for the role. Again, I said there's 10,000 open BA jobs right now in the US. 6 is that every day is different. No 2 days are ever the same. Very dynamic. One day you can be working on project 1, which involves creating a business case and forecast how much you're going to make. Working on project 2 the next day, which is where you're testing out a brand new thing you're about to launch. Working on project 3 the day after, which is now focused on training a set of users for a different project. So you can be working on multiple projects at the same time, in the same week, in the same day, which keeps it a little bit dynamic. You can work in any industry, which I love. So, we saw the oil industry go down in Canada a couple years ago. BAs are needed in every industry, whether it's oil and gas or telecommunications or banking or insurance. There's no industry that doesn't have BAs today. And then you get to work with different stakeholders. You get to work with marketing team, finance team, accounting, development, engineering, design, which allows you to get exposure to different parts of the business, which can then help you accelerate your career and build your brilliance. That's why it's a good career. Now, let's talk about why they make so much money. Like I said, there's BAs right now who make up to $300K a year that I know. And one way they do this is because they do high value work. What high value work means is that the impact of your solution transcends you. You can build out a product, but think about Facebook. Facebook was built one time and it's improved ever since, but the one product services 1 billion users across the world. When you work in tech as a BA, you work on improving a piece of software or internal business process that can be used by companies, millions of customers, they're going to pay you well to manage that risk. So it's high value work. You're not working on one customer at a time, you're working at a very high level, building out a process that affects tens, 20, hundreds of employees, and by return, thousands of customers, and then by default, millions of dollars in revenue gets created or protected by your work. So it's high value. Second thing is contract work. So as a BA, you can work full-time or work on contract. Now these contract jobs are short, limited roles, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months roles. There's a specific end date, and you're being hired to do a specific project. And because it's temporary, the pay per hour is much higher than a full-time job. I've seen BAs who charge organizations $100 an hour, and they're on a 1-year contract, right? That's $200K a year in one contract. The third thing is what's called job stacking. Now, some BAs have multiple contracts, right? They're running their own organization, so to speak. They have a contract with the company where they're getting paid $100 an hour, and they're working Eastern time, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and they have another contract with a company on the West Coast or a different country. Here are a few success stories of people who have become BAs. We have Ade, who went to becoming a BA from being a reporter and doing admin in the courts. We have Shade Reed, who when she came to SkillHat was making $30K a year in customer service at Vistaprint. In only 6 months, she became a BA, doubled her income, and now makes over $300K a year as a business analyst. Again, just with a customer service background. We have Ankit, who came in from the sales world. He's now a BA, making multiple 6 figures as well. So now there's different job titles in the BA spectrum. You have titles like customer success manager, that's really still a BA. Business systems analyst, business data analyst, process analyst, consultant, product manager, technical writer. These are all different job titles that signify different focuses of the BA role. So for example, customer success is more focused on implementing an existing and already built solution for a client to use. You have roles like product management, which is focused on ensuring that a specific product is built the right way, launched the right way, and customers are sticking to the product. Now, the career progression looks like you get into a BA role as a junior BA, then you become a BA, then a senior BA, then you get into product management or a senior consultant, and then a BA manager where you manage other BAs. And you can then grow to become a director of operations for a business unit or a senior manager, and then a VP, and then the rest from there if you want to become an executive or a CEO or founder of a company. So there's a lot of room for growth and there's a clear career progression. Now, there's 4 steps you have to fill to land a BA job. There's 4 gaps you have to fill to land a high-paying tech role or BA role with no experience. So what I'd like you to do is watch the next video on how to land a tech job with no experience. If you want to help become a business analyst, you can come to SkillHat, go to skillhat.ca, check out our BA program, or you can also book a call with me and my team to build a one-on-one personalized roadmap for you to land a BA job. All you have to do is go to skillhat.ca/book to book a call. Catch you later.